Now we got the tire off the back of the bike. What we're going to be wanting to look for is this side. This is where the sprocket is going to fit. Now, when you mount your sprocket, it's imperative that you put the teeth going this way. The beveled side has to be this way, like so, like that. But what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to cut one of these inside so you can slip this through the axle. So you want to do is you want to do it directly in the center. Don't have to be anal retentive about it. And all these are just rubber pieces. And they're really tricky. Hopefully I don't slice off my hand. That would suck. Okay, like so. And what we want to do is we're going to want to feed this through and around. Like so. Then what we're going to want to do is we're going to put the other one like this to make a pancake. Again, sprocket teeth inside of the bike. We're going to slap it on there. We're going to sand this down and we're going to paint it your color. So we're going to want to scratch it up a little bit, get a little bit of degreaser on that. It feels a little greasy on it, then paint it up. We're about ready to paint these things. She sanded them all up, everything else, scuffed them all up. I want to give you guys a little tip. When you're going to do your bolts for your sprocket, there's 9 bolts. Take a drill. Take this, stick them in. That way the threads won't get all painted and it won't be such a hard time. And majority of the time you'll just get the bolts, just have them sticking up a little bit. Same with these bolts for the tensioner bracket. Now that everything's painted up, what we're going to need is we're going to need 9 of these bolts. These are the long ones that you get in that package. 9 lock washers, 9 regular washers, and of course 9 bolts. These are the ones that fit on the other ones, so I don't need those right now. And these are all 10 millimeters ends on bolts and the nuts. And here's the washers. What you'll want to do is you want to place this above it. But to start it, make sure this is inside, remember, a groove inside. You're going to want to go this way and through. Okay? And you're going to want to star them out. I usually start off and you're going to scratch this thing up so it ain't going to be all pretty. And they do fall. So this is kind of a bare thing. See a star? Now I put it in here. Try to hold it together as best as you can. And you're going to want to put these in. Swear. The bolts line up. There's spokes on their side, so okay. I'm gonna put these on. You guys get the gist. Go through and we'll put the other one on the other side. This is a split. Now that all the things are on, the bolts are through and they're then through the rubber grommet. There's a split right here. You want to take one of these plates and you'll want to put it, you can't centerize it because there's only 3 per plate, but you want to put a plate over the top of that. And you want to adjust the other plate. Alright, so all of our bolts are on, the washer, the lock nut, and the nut itself. What I did was use some hands and assistance. You can do this with one person, it is possible, but it's a pain in the ass. You want to go around and you'll want to tighten them with your hand like a brake clamp. Make sure you tighten them hand tight all the way around. Get them nice and tight as you can. And we get nice and tight as you can. Then you want to do is you want to make sure they're pretty unisont on the side, they're flush, like it shows right here. But what you want to do now is you want to get some Loctite, get some red. This is the stuff that will hold, but you'll really need to break it, but you won't need to break it with a torch. You'll want to put a drop or two right in there, right alongside the threads. So when you use a wrench and you use the other wrench to tighten them down, the Loctite's already in there, because you're not going to push this all the way the diameter or the width of the nut. If you put the drop on in the washer and stuff right in here, it's not going to thread all the way that far. So the Loctite will be used pretty darn good. But when you start doing it, what you want to do, like a regular tire, you want to do a star pattern. Something like this. That way it'll be sitting on their uniform, so you won't have a wobble. If this wobbles more than like that much, 3 to 5 millimeters, anything over 5, I would say, 1, 2, it's going to throw your chain. So you don't want this thing to be wobbling around. It needs to be stationary. Your tire itself, I don't want to say it can, but it can wobble back and forth. But if this plate is wobbling back and forth and it's not perfectly straight, you're going to have problems. Now that the sprocket's mounted, we mounted on the bicycle to make sure the thing was true. It didn't move it over that much, so I'm going to let it go for right now. Maybe the chain won't rub on it, hopefully not. If it does, I might have to move the wheel over, chew it out some more. What we were looking for is once you get the things tightened by a star pattern, you want to come across, you want to look, oops, and see how much it wobbles back and forth. Of course the bike's wobbling right now. But I have probably a 3 millimeter max wobble, so it'll be fine. What you want to do is when you set it on here and you start spinning it, it might start going woo, 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 really. So when you get to the high point, when it comes out far as you can, that means a high point in my terms, or the low point would be inside. So if it goes outside, inside, outside, inside, when it gets to the inside or the outside, the outer part, what you want to do is you want to tighten those bolts up on top, re-spin it, tighten it where it comes out again, tighten it where it comes out again, tighten it where it comes out again. Eventually you'll do it enough where it'll sit down nice and tight. The Loctite's in there, of course, but now the sprocket is mounted onto the wheel. So we'll button this up, we'll put the washers back on it, tighten this up for it to be ready to go back on the road.